It is a lot of Somalians in Minnesota. In Minneapolis, it is. Every gas station I went to in Minneapolis, they was like, look at me, I am the captain now. I am the captain now. But that is just Minneapolis, Minnesota. The rest of Minnesota is all white, you too. I don't even know how Captain Phillips landed directly in the middle of Minnesota and landed all them Somalians there. But them Somalians, they got that bitch. They got that bitch. Y'all might as well just let them have it. There are small patches of ethnic diversified areas all across America. There's little Chinas all across America. There's little Mexicos. I don't know. I think it's worse because the drivers out of the three that I just named, they are the worst drivers out of little Chinas and little Mexicans. Little Somalians are horrible drivers. I don't think that the Mexicans are like used to having division like or speed limits in their countries, but I don't think they have paved roads in Somalia. Did that come off racist? I swear I'm trying to defend them in this bit. But Elon Omar and Tim Walz are not making it any easier. First, they're saying Elon Omar married her brother to legally become a citizen in the United States and that she's sleeping with some other guy. That's horrible, Elon. If you did do that, that's sneaky. You should have stayed out of politics. Or stop talking so loud while Trumpito was in office. I don't know what's wrong with these Democrats. And then Tim Walz, this guy, he just look, they already had the federal funding froze because he continued to let boys participate in women's athletic sports. And then they took it to the Supreme Court. They got that through down, but now they're back froze because they're saying that they're funneling money from Minnesota to Al-Shabaab. Why are y'all giving Shabaab all this money? Shabaab is Al-Qaeda. I just found out that too, but I like saying Shabaab. Why are you guys giving Shabaab all this money? Who the freak is Bob? Anyway, my name is Marcus Russell. This is the Marcus Russell Show. So now, since the state of Minnesota has been accused of funneling terrorist groups, they got the money refroze. They like I said, they just was frozen, but now they back frozen. And I personally don't think it's fair. Why don't I think it's fair? Reason number two, because we're just not into Somalian food like that. I think that's the main problem. There's little Italies all across them. There's a little Italy in Chicago, but everybody likes Italian food. There's even little Indias in Illinois. Little places where there's nothing but India signs, Pakistani signs, and India, Middle East India, not Indian like Native American Indian. And they, they have, good food. We like Mexican food. I even been to like a little Germany in Indiana where the German food is just okay, I guess. But, the problem is with a little Somalia, there's like no excuse you can explain. Like, why were you over there, Jim? Jim, why were you over there in Little Somalia? I've been out there. I was out there in Ferguson. It's still burnt down from the police protest that they've had 5-6 years ago. It's still burnt down. So it's like, if the only reason you're there is probably to buy some tobacco. And if you're not buying tobacco, Bill, what were you doing in Little Somalia? You have no excuse. I think that's the problem. But you know how I feel about the police. And it's unfortunate that they burnt down Ferguson, but if they get me, at least burn me down to Walgreens. I'm actually work for Walmart, but at least give me a Walgreens in my honor. And that's how I feel. Anyway, other than the Mall of America in Minneapolis, Minnesota's trash. The whole state of Minnesota is trash. I've worked there for several years. I hate working in places where it's not legal to smoke. Not because I smoke. I don't smoke. Of course, I don't smoke, but I don't like the police that pull you over in places where it's not legal to smoke because they always like, I smell weed. No, you don't. You don't smell. I don't even smoke. But that's what they always say in places. That's why I don't like places where it's not legal. And Minnesota's one they just became legal, but they don't have any places that have weed for sale yet. But like I said, just let them have Minneapolis. It's not like it's a big place. It's small. It's a couple highway exits. And look, and this is also for police discrimination. You know, when you're in places there where the police are profiling and targeting people to the point to where they might burn your little town down, beware. Because they might burn it down and then turn it into a little Somalia. Is that what you want, Virginia? You know what I'm saying? Is that what you want? Is that what you want, North and South Dakota? Do you want to be little Somalia too? Yeah, well, tell the police to cut it out, because that's how they got turned into a little Somalia, for real. And then every gas station you go to, they're gonna be like, "Look at me, look at me." I am the captain now. Not for real. Make sure you tap that like and subscribe button. Let's get right to the video.
People of East African descent have been charged, convicted, and sentenced for stealing more than $1 billion in taxpayer money from government programs during COVID. Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail. Governors don't get to just talk theoretically. We have to solve problems. Minnesota is a generous state. Minnesota is a prosperous state, a well-run state. We're AAA bond rated, but that attracts criminals. Those people are going to jail. We're doing everything we can.
Governor Tim Walz is struggling to defend reports of massive fraud that occurred under his watch, some of which reportedly went to the Somali terrorist organization al-Shabaab. The New York Times is reporting everyone, including Walz, was ignoring the warning signs because they were fearful of alienating the Somali community. And a lawyer representing one of the Somalis convicted of fraud said, quote, "It was like stealing money from the cookie jar." But instead of taking responsibility, Walz is attacking, guess who? Trump.
That is totally disconnected with demonizing an entire group of people who came here fleeing civil war and created a vibrant community that makes Minnesota and this country better. But that's Donald Trump. Deflect, demonize, come up with no solutions. He's not going to help fix anything on fraud. My God, there's a big difference between fraud and corruption is something he knows about.
You know, Lydia, I did not hear an answer to, do you take any responsibility from the governor there?
Of course not. And I think what I get so frustrated about is like this forcing us to choose sides. I mean, two things can be true at the same time. They could be fleeing a civil war, but they could also be coming here and committing fraud. They are not mutually exclusive. Just to give you an example of how bad this fraud is, there was one particular program that was created in the state of Minnesota to support homeless folks. It was budgeted for about $2 million, 2.6 when it started in 2020. And according to the feds, the program's cost because of the fraud ballooned to more than $100 million. So going from 2 million to 100 million because of this fraud being taken by these people who weren't entitled to this money. No services were actually provided under Tim Walz's watch. You're right. He should take some accountability for that.
Well,
yeah, it's about time that Tim Walz actually be held accountable for some of the things that his name has been added to. I kind of like Ilhan Umar. She just doesn't understand how things work over here in the United States of America. We just don't voice our loud opinions against the government like that unless we can do it in a jokingly way. That's the only way, Elon. You can't just be like, they're racist. That's how you get deported, girl. They try to deport me and I'm from this thing. Shut your mouth. You know what I'm saying? You got a damn towel on your head and you talking about you hate America. That's not going to work. First, you know what I'm saying? Get one of them. You got some white people on your staff. Get one of them to say it. Elon, and your name, Elon. And it's not like Elon, like E-L-L-N, it's I-L-L-O-N, it's Elon. It's actually, you know what I'm saying? They don't like Elon. He's African. But he's white and he's African. So you know they don't like your African ass, Elon. And Tim Walz, oh my God. I don't even know why people in Minnesota are still voting for you after you had that assassin attack all those Democrats that voted against that measure you was trying to get passed. So crazy. I don't even know. I swear to God, I would have made such a good politician because, for one, my hits would have went through. Did I say that? I would not steal millions and millions, maybe a couple 100,000. I'm not no thief. You know what I mean? Facts. And I would never say negative stuff on camera about this country unless it was in a jokingly manner because I know better. You know what I'm saying? As a person of color. Like, you just don't talk like that on camera here. That's not how you get accolades. But I don't know. It's getting pretty bad. Eventually, maybe they might give them their federal funding back. But Trumpito has been on that ass Minnesota ever since before you were elected. Now they got a Somalian mayor. He's literally the guy from Captain Dan, from Captain Phillips. He's literally the exact same Somalian. Then you got Elon, she's the state's representative. And like I said, the whole city of Minneapolis is Somalian. What's up, Allah? That's how they talk to each other. They be like, what's up, Allah? You know, Allah means God. They just become, never mind. Anyway, I've been there. It's pretty trash. It's like 8 Mile. Y'all ever been to Detroit and just drove down 8 Mile? You know how it's still burnt down since 1966? Yeah, well, Minneapolis is still burnt down since 2021. It's the exact same scenario. I don't think that when you have a civil war, insurance covers civil wars. So, like, if there's ever something that's deemed a civil war and they burn your Cub Foods down, that Cub Foods is gone. You know what I'm saying? They haven't had no Cub Foods in Detroit since 1967. They just left it burned down. There's still ashes on the, I don't know. Maybe Minneapolis can just, like I said, maybe we can just build a wall around it and let them have it, man. There's little Chinas. They got, America, we don't complain about that. There's little, you know what I mean? There's little Mexicos. Mexicans are allowed to be anywhere in the United States. They are allowed to be. I don't see what the problem with having a little Somalia around. Okay, it's going to be dangerous in traffic. But like I said, they're not used to paved roads. So, of course, driving is going to be, this is horrible. This is horrible. You know what? Just tell me what you think in the comments. Make sure you tap that like and subscribe button. Until next time. Peace.